everyone, and welcome to today's Achaibo Clinical free one-on-one webinar. I'll be managing this webinar and running the back-end technical side. We're so excited you can join us today. Before we get to our incredible speaker, I want to share a few housekeeping notes. You'll notice everyone's mics are muted, and cameras are turned off. This is intentional to keep the focus on our speakers so that we don't hear any background noises as others join in. Use the chat box as a back channel for questions and comments and to participate in activities. You can also raise your hand by pressing the hand button, and we'll have you unmuted during the Q&A session. Please reach out to Achaibo team or write in the chat box if you are experiencing ongoing technical issues. But please note our limited capacity to address the problems while the webinar is running. All the questions will be addressed at the Q&A session at the end of today's presentation. This webinar is being recorded and will upload to our YouTube channel within 24 to 48 hours. So without further ado, I would like to introduce the founder and CEO of Achaibo Clinical, Tengku Muna.
We can hear you.
I was on mute, you guys. I was going on about how excited I am about all of you joining today and saying happy Sunday. And I also wanted to thank B for that wonderful introduction. We're all about AI here at Achaibo now, and that is translating in so many different ways. So I'm glad you guys are here. There are more people joining. I'm Tengku Muna, the founder of Achaibo Clinical, and our passion and mission here is to create a more diverse and inclusive clinical trials landscape. And just so you know, just because you're off camera, it's going to be a very interactive presentation. I'm going to ask questions. Get ready because we need reactions as well. So for those of you who just joined, let me say a quick hi before the room fills up, and that way I can say everybody's name. Abdi Rahman, welcome. Anthony, Breda, Irene, Kiran, Kofi, Makotso, Matamela, Millicent, hi. Mohammed, Dosak, Nelson, Robert, Sifiso, Tolu, I think I know who that is, Yasin and Zainab. I have said hi to the people who've joined so far, okay? A warm welcome to you. I'm delighted that you guys are here. We're gonna have a really good session. Somebody else just joined. Welcome. I'm doing the welcomes. So let's go ahead and start. First of all, I want to thank the Achaibo Ninjas who are here. B is the Chief of Operations. You guys have interacted with Vera Moore. She is the Social Media Director Manager, the social media queen around here. And B really is the wind beneath the wings of this platform. I mean, she makes sure all of us are doing well. And Julian is here as well. He might not be on camera, but he is our customer outreach manager. He's really incredible and he directs all of that. So that's the team that supports this platform. We're gonna go into some interesting tools today. I always try to make sure that all the webinars are different. And today we're going to be talking about the challenges and complexities in the clinical trials industry. And we also have a success mindset component because that's so important. So you guys leave feeling like, yay, I felt good. I spent my Sunday and I feel, inspired and I'm ready for an amazing week, right? So that's what we're going to do. And how are you guys feeling today? You can wave hearts. Are you glad to be here? And for those of you from the WhatsApp group, hey! And if you have not joined the WhatsApp group, make sure you do. As soon as this webinar is over, make sure you join the WhatsApp group. Or while it's going on, right, you can multitask. So let me dive right into things. You've met me. I'm the founder of Achaibo, known as Achaibo Clinical. And some people always ask me, what is Achaibo? Achaibo, the name is a blend of my father's middle name and my mother's middle name. I'll get that out of the way. And I feel like I just coming from them, being, from Africa and now living in the US for so long, there's just a synergy there with both parents and creating something where I can actually be of service in a greater way. But this webinar is really about you guys. I mean, I'll say very little about me. I've been in the industry for 20 years. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. The reason why I love it is just because it's been such an important, I would say, it has done so much for my life. I mean, I even lack the words. I got in clueless about where I was going to 20 years later, combining success mindset, having mentors, having coaches, and then being able to create my own company and consult at the global level has been the most amazing thing. And then now training other professionals, it's just so wonderful. So I talked about the mission here is to promote diversity and inclusion in clinical trials management, and we will get into that because as you will see, based on the data, we are underrepresented, right? African communities of Indian descent, Chinese, I mean, really, there's just this, we just need diversity in clinical trials. And that's what it is. And when we have that kind of diversity, we can transform the world for the better. Okay, clinical trials, as you guys know, this industry is an essential part of the healthcare sector, and it really is. You know, I see it here, particularly in the US, or working with research studies in the EMR and the APAC region, and you see that intersection of, you know, products that are, you know, I've been in the industry long enough where I have quite a few products coming to the market, right? And I also see how clinical trials are woven into hospitals around the world, clinics around the world. And so that now becomes part of improving the public healthcare system. And now with data collection, that's really huge. But many times people are scared to participate because there's so many myths around clinical trials. And it's not just in the US, there is that too. I mean, there's a lot of outreach to minority communities to ensure that they understand what clinical trials are and how they can actually participate. So let's go into global trends, which I always, this section is, I present it every time, just because it's always nice to have a visual of what the situation is around the world. The areas in red just conduct more clinical trials. As you see here, the red in North America is a lot more vivid than even the red that is in Europe, right? Because we conduct the majority of clinical trials, but that has been dwindling. And then, of course, it kind of, you know, as we move around the world, less and less countries are involved. And the FDA here actually is all over the world. They have branches everywhere. And because the majority of the clinical trials are registered here, right? And it's a market that is quite robust, so drugs tend to come here. But now there is a decentralization of the powers of the world, as you guys know. We have many countries like, you know, Africa, the APAC region, South America that are coming up, and there's a need for these types of products for their populations as well. So with that type of wealth distribution and opportunities that are coming up, I think it's essential that we include, you know, the world as we are moving forward. So I'll pause here and say hi to those of you who just joined. We always start on time, but a warm welcome to you. I'm just going over some data just to kind of show the distribution of clinical trials around the world. So here we have non-US only studies that are 52%. See how, guys, see how it's really grown. It used to be like almost 99% here. And now in the US, we only conduct about 32% of trials, and that number keeps dwindling. And this is based on the trials that have been registered on ct.gov. It is a repository for all the clinical trials that are registered in the US. There are many other CTs around the world, clinical trial registries, but the US has the most robust one, I would say. So both US and non-US, we have 5%. So studies are conducted in the US and outside of the US, and then data that is not provided is about 11%. The curve here, as you can see, is that we're only conducting more and more clinical trials, right? Because you guys know, right? I mean, let me just ask you this. How many young people right now they're thinking about products that they can bring to the market? Or when I say young, I mean young, not young age-wise, young ideas, young at heart. So you guys know that, right? I mean, if you know this, just wave, because think about how the proliferation of health ideas around the world. Health is the number one thing. Without it, we don't have anything else. And so the move now is to use clinical trials as a way to improve patients' lives. And I think it's really essential. And even the projects that I work on right now, what we preach is helping patients. It's not like, oh, we're conducting clinical trials, right? We're testing. I mean, it's really helping patients, particularly, I know I work a lot more in oncology, and we have a lot of initiatives to ensure that, patients are not being left out. So the countries that we're in, we have, community outreach, a lot of community outreach, education, compassionate use programs and things like that, which are really essential for patients. So yeah, the curve is only increasing. I mean, we are only going to be conducting more and more clinical trials. And by the way, these are more the traditional type clinical trials, like I say, drugs, devices, biologic. We have a whole new world that's opening up now with AI. Our next webinar is going to be on how AI is influencing the clinical trials industry. It's going to be very interesting. So yeah, we have all this proliferation of AI, robotics, and all of that. So we're going to see a massive and exponential increase for trials that are being registered, but then it's going to start slowly changing towards very targeted therapies. So are you guys following? Are you here? Just wave. I didn't see anybody wave earlier. I'm going to hold you guys to the wave or hearts or whatever you want to do, just to make sure that you guys are following. Are you listening? Are you here? Or am I just speaking to a blank screen and the Achaibo ninjas? Wow. Can you guys hear me? Okay, great. I see you guys waving. Good, because I don't want it to be like I'm here on my own. I really don't. I want to make sure that, you guys are there. Okay, great. And you can also use emojis and hearts that float. Those are also nice. I like when the hearts float, because then I know they're real human beings on here. So let's keep going while you guys are sorting that out. So if you look at the distribution in terms of clinical trials, I always focus more on the second, I call it the second, there was a word for it, not a graph, forgotten what it's called. But anyways, you guys get what I'm saying. The race distribution, as you can see, majority of the trials are conducted, and this is from 2015 to 2019. The data that was run is conducted on mostly white and Caucasian. Now, as you start going around the world, this is a global thingy, but as we're going around the world and as times are changing, this is getting better. The APAC region is actually dominating right now in terms of more clinical trials. But I always look at things like this as opportunity. So if we need more diversity and inclusion, then it's an opportunity for us to be more involved. Those countries where they're non-white countries, particularly our continent, Africa, right? Then it's an opportunity for us to engage and be more involved. And what I have also found that is happening with us is that there are people in our industry, right? But we need to share this information. I've had many people DM me and thank me, and I'm not because I'm taking credit. I'm just sharing that. I'm always surprised when people thank me that, wow, Tengu, you give so much information. There's nothing like this out there. I think that more of us should be doing this. Life is about the sharing of the knowledge that we have, right? And so if we're going to take some stuff to our graves and die with them, then what's the point? But the other thing is that we have this belief that this is a pie chart. The name just came because I'm about to say something about that. We have the belief that the pie is little. And so, there's only 20 pieces of the pie, and we're going to cut it up. And once people have their share, then the pie. So then I can't be giving people information, because then what's going to happen to me? But here's the thing about abundance. Abundance grows to the degree of the people who go and eat the pie. If there are 500 people going to eat the pie will grow and feed all those five people, right? So we just have to share. I want to talk about diversity and inclusion, because this is super important. And I see someone raise their hand. Welcome at the end. Everyone, any question you have, I'm going to be responding to all the questions that you have. I know more and more are joining. This is going to be recorded. So for those of you who joined late, everyone who has attended will get a recording, access to the recording. So now let's go into diversity, right? I want to discuss a few studies that have come up, right? And what is clear in these studies is this. Trial participants globally, majority of European descent. And so there is such a need to address diversity because we need to have a range of different participants. If a product is tested on a specific type of person, and I always say particularly Caucasian, where I say it's maybe a watering down of the genotype or phenotype or the DNA, whatever it is. That's how my analysis is. And the closer you get to the source, so when you have more and more African patients who are participating in clinical trials, right, then the chances of that drug working on everybody else is very high because that's the source, right? They have, the largest phenotype and genotype, as you guys know, are people of African descent. And so you have that. But in addition to that, you also have now Latin America and the APAC region, right, who also have a variety of genotype and phenotype. So it's really essential that we make sure that we're not really leaving people behind in this industry. And here in the US, the FDA has finally drafted a clinical trials diversity plan. It has to be incorporated when you're filing for an IND application. You have to weave that into it. So you have to be aware of the minorities that are going to be in your clinical trial. So this is just some of the stats that I found that I put together, that people of color represent nearly 40% of the US population, and they compose 16% of clinical trial participants. The US is a microcosm of the world. So we know that globally, this number is actually even lower globally. So it probably will be more like, I don't know, maybe 10% or less that are of African descent participating in clinical trials. And then JAMA, the American Medical Association, talks about underrepresented, particularly in cardiovascular diseases, right? And they found that there's a high prevalence in the minority population. So other journals like the National Academics of Science, Engineering, and Medicine, just different journals publishing that has gone on just stating that more minority patients have to participate. And so I put this together. WHO now in Africa we only conduct less than 2% of the clinical trials. I mean, it's insane. And we have the largest phenotype and genotype. And the Journal of Global Oncology, and we're having also a rise in the number of patients who have some form of cancer, right? We're also noticing that just because of what the world is becoming, that there are only 1% of the patients enrolled in clinical trials globally. I mean, and we're looking at the same types of diseases that are actually rising in majority of these countries. So those are some of the stats. You can read them. They also surveyed clinical trial participants in Africa. This was conducted by the African Academy of Sciences, and 55% of respondents indicated that they were not given sufficient information about the trial. See, that's the other thing. So the trials that we're currently conducting, because we do not have a force, right, a passion and energy to really be in this industry, it's sort of a little bit like what I've found is just we did some projects in Tanzania. There's just this sort of mystery about it. There's a little bit of that in the US here, guaranteed. We go to most minority populations and you talk about clinical trials. Most people don't know what it is. They don't know how there's a whole drug development pipeline. They don't know that. But even more so for us, there's such mystery. Then there's been history about it. So the patients who are participating for some reason, because in many cases, and we found this, that the trials that are being conducted, the people conducting it operationally, I would say, are not as experienced, right? Not in all cases. I mean, we've certainly had sites in many parts of the African continent, and even not just Africa. I mean, in India and many places that are extremely, extremely experienced. But a lot of times, it's the execution of the trial. We look at the precedents of protocol deviations and all of that. I mean, like CAPAs and issues that actually are rising from the clinical trials. And most of the time is related to the fact that the staff have not received like really great training on clinical operations. So the industry is unique, as you guys know. It's globalized, it's decentralized, it's adaptable, the skills are transferable, and there's no limitation on the professional background. I do not have a medical background, and because it's such an experience-based industry, but I have developed my clinical side as a result of being in this industry. I have to tell you guys this. So with the advent of AI right now, I have to take my my mother for a follow-up appointment. She had some things done, and we were having a conversation, and she told me what was going on. I said, oh, I'll just go and get the response, and I did. And it's so weird because when we went to see her medical doctor, he said the exact same thing. The exact same thing that I had actually I actually said it based on I actually did some research, basically. But I'm just saying that, my clinical knowledge, it's such a blessing, has improved because of the wonderful teams that I actually working with, clinical scientists, physician scientists, working with principal investigators around the world. And so it's a decentralized and globalized industry. What that means is that you sitting on this call who is thinking, maybe this is an industry that I want to get into. You can get the knowledge, you can get the training, and you can work from wherever you are in the world. That's it. And in this industry, there is also a need. No, so it's not just for the patient population, but we also need professionals who are from diverse backgrounds. So let's say I'm a specimen management specialist, and there's a reason why I'm saying this. In maybe in Nigeria, right? And I've managed many labs and I've set up many labs. And so now I am looking for a position, with a pharmaceutical company. The good news is that because of the experience that I have in a less developed country, when I'm on a trial and I'm sitting and we have some maybe issues with samples in maybe India or Chile or somewhere, I can better understand what the challenges are because I have worked in a country where the resources are not as robust for specimen management. So those are things that we really want to pay attention to, because people DM me a lot and always say, oh, can I get into this industry? I'm like, yes, you can. And there are many ways that you can actually get in. So decentralization is important. And all of this stuff that's written here, I'll just summarize it. What that means is that we can collaborate across, the world, whether it's a clinical research site, you can collaborate with other sites on that trial, because the trial is being run from Kyoto, through Yaoundé all the way down to Brazil. I'm trying to go back to about New Zealand all the way to the other side of the world, depending on how you look at it. So those are things, and increases efficiency, sharing of knowledge. Patients can participate no matter what their socioeconomic status is, and it's a really good thing, right? So we have to be really passionate about diversity because it's going to contribute to innovative treatments in this industry. So if whether you're coming into the industry to have a career, you're contributing to the diversity growth in the industry, or you want to run clinical trials, you're an entrepreneur, you want to partner up with some medical doctors, or you're already a medical doctor, or you're a pathologist, whatever it is, right? It's always based on what your country is. It's something that is good for the world. Before continuing, I want to pause here. Are you guys following? Are you engaging? Are you here? Because I'm going to go into the challenges and complexities, and that will go really quick. But I just wanted to make sure that you guys are here, you are enjoying the discussion, and that you are following it. Hi. Okay. Hi, Mohammed. Mohammed typed a hello. Welcome. I'm glad you're here. So let's keep going. Challenges and complexities in clinical trials. This is what I always say, and I always see it globally. It's not the trial, it's the execution. You can have the most incredible protocol, but the nuance is the execution. How you're going to get it to the clinical research sites globally, how you're going to gather that data. I mean, there could be specimen collection, there could be patient-reported outcomes. I mean, it is just a beast. So the biggest thing, of course, is recruiting and retaining participants. So there are two things. Recruitment, you got to have a big funnel. And if you read, a lot of the emails that we send out are very educational. So make sure to subscribe and read those. We talk about patient recruitment a lot. So in terms of recruiting, you gotta really make sure that you have a large funnel. And that comes from so many things. I won't go into the details, whether it's the practice that the PI is in, or whether it's engaging or triaging with community members, or whether it's advertising, but really making sure that, you have enough. And as the patients are enrolled, you want to stay engaged with them. Many times when patients drop out, it's not because they want to drop out, it's because they don't find that human, touch. They feel like they're just, in some number in a clinical trial. You don't want that. You want to make sure that you are engaging with these patients, whether they're from your clinic or not, or from your hospital or not. That's super important. So you can make a difference by becoming an advocate for clinical trials participation for patients. And hence, when you're engaging with your patients, it's all data, right? And so we have a certain outcome. We have primary endpoints and secondary endpoints, right? So when you engage with your patients, then you're ensuring that, you have a great outcome. I mean, one clinical research site can kill a trial. And what that just means is that maybe you're the person that has been enrolling majority of the patients, and they all drop out. And then, of course, before we can get the primary endpoint, and we do the analysis, and it's a mess, right? So just be aware, we're generating large amounts of data, we're collecting it, we're managing it, we're analyzing it. And so those are some of the challenges, right? Data management, all this data that has to be put together, right? And I say, shake it up, right? So we got to get all these data together, collected across, the project I'm on, there are 150 countries, so many different sites. You're collecting all this data and bringing it together, and then you have to eventually submit it to the regulatory authority. So think about all the challenges, but it starts from the clinical research side. A clinical trial starts from one patient in one clinical research site. And if you're sitting on this, you're already in clinical trials, you might be aware, you might not be. Don't get caught up with all the operational stuff. It's important, but remember this, at the end of the day, at the clinical research site, we are here for our patients. And so we have to take time to make sure that we're collecting the data properly so that the analysis can be done properly, right? Now, compliance with regulations, big one. Clinical research side, you're compliant with all the regulations, whether it's through the Institutional Review Board, the IEC, and then you build up all the way to the sponsor. We manage more we do all the country submissions and things like that. But in terms of adherence, everybody has to adhere. But at the clinical research side, you have to really make sure that you understand the importance of managing your essential documents, right? Making sure that those documents that actually support the clinical trial are really managed properly. And that's really essential, because in clinical trials, we have the data part, and then we have the regulatory documents part. And the regulatory documents part basically supports the data part. We can collect all the data we want, but if we don't have supporting documentation showing that it was conducted correctly, we can't submit it. So those are some of the challenges. Compliance and regulation, I went through that. So that is the end of the main part of the presentation regarding clinical trials. Basically, in a nutshell, we need more diversity in clinical trials. I'll take it. I'll just summarize what I just went through for you. Secondly, as you saw with the pie chart and the graph, the clinical trials are increasing, and we need to meet up by making sure that, we have diverse populations participating. As you saw in Africa, we have the least amount of participation in clinical trials. And then, of course, some of the challenges that we face in clinical trials, whether it's data collection, compliance with regulatory bodies, right? Those are some of the things that we're doing. Now, this piece on building a success mindset in clinical trials, it is part of everything that we do. All our coaching programs are set up that way, because what I found was the key opinion leaders I was dealing with, the principal investigators of conferences around the world, and then I also incorporated it into my own life. It completely transformed everything for me. We have to balance the left and right brain, right? And we have to make sure that, we are in a place where our foundation is a foundation for success. I stay not even positive. I stay aware of my gifts and talents, and I see myself as a being who's coming into the world to unleash my potential. And so I know that it's an abundant world and everything is possible. And yet the only thing that's going to stop me from moving forward in my life, from taking the next step, is my perception of my world. It's not life that's happening to you. It's your perception of life that's happening to you, right? Interpretations, perceptions, stories. That what life is, I say life is a series of stories that have been woven together and told from the perspective of the viewer. Something that occurred to me one day. I came out of meditation. I said, Tengu, that's what life is. We're all telling different stories based on our perception. Your mother's perception, your doctor's perception, the clinical trial participants' perception, right? So that's just really what life is. All these stories coming together. And so, but we need to have a mindset where so I'm going to give you guys some ideas, which you probably already know about, but these are some of the things that work as I am in this clinical trials industry, with my own company, minority, and all of that stuff. These are some of the things that I have to bring on, hey, I'm like, Tengu, today you're going to cultivate resilience. Okay. And in the face of adversity, unexpected setbacks, navigating through complex regulations, I'm not even going to go into that, but it's a lot. I mean, the constant changes in the clinical trials world, because I always say the perfect scenario, we do our protocol blueprint, write the protocol, the medical writers get it going, and then we plop it into the real world and all hell breaks loose and we start revising, we rebuild different databases. So it's a lot, but we have to cultivate resilience. And that resilience really comes from the inner self, okay? Embrace global collaboration. Yes, you're working with teams all over the world. If you want to get into this industry, you're going to have to let go of some biases. I mean, I had to absolutely work on that. I mean, I didn't have many, but I'm just saying it's really a global world. The team that I'm on currently consulting is fascinating. I mean, I was like, wow, it feels like the United Nations, right? People from different cultural backgrounds, religious backgrounds, different experiences, but unité fait la force, the team. Together we are strong. So that's really important. So you want to embrace global collaboration. Flexibility. This is not just in yoga, you guys, in hatha yoga, physical yoga. You got to be, the real flexibility comes from the mind. It's having a mindset of flexibility, because I always have this joke when I'm in when I used to do a lot of attend a lot of yoga classes. I do more at home now. And I would say, the body might all be flexible. And they would say, wow, you're so flexible. I'm like, it's my mind. It starts from the mind. Your mind has got to be flexible because you got to adapt to new situations. In the coaching program, we did a whole series on pivoting and, and finding creative and complex ways to address different challenges in our lives. So you want to prioritize flexibility. You got to develop creative problem-solving skills. Okay, this is important. Recently, we are now incorporating AI into a lot of the data analysis that we're doing. Luckily for me, I'm always, because all my friends are all the industries that they need to be technologically advanced. So I'm constantly looking for new creative solutions, to things, right? And so now we're incorporating all this AI analysis, and so it's fascinating. But the thing that I found is it's not just the creative skills at home. If you're in this call and you feel like drawing, do that. Like I had all these ideas and paintings that I wanted to do. They were all in my head, right? Not in my head, I'd written them down. Even poems, I'd written down poems and all this stuff. And now we have Midjourney, wow, DALL-E, Stable Diffusion. We have ChatGPT. Like OpenAI. Even just think about tapping into that, because all it's going to do, it's only going to feed into what you're doing. The most amazing research scientists I've worked with typically play the piano or they always, or one who is like a salsa dancer, but you want to tap into that. So when you are flexing your creative muscle, it's the same energy that you're going to take and bring to work and create some solutions that are just incredible, right? So you're basically looking at your world in a completely different way. The other thing is embrace continuous learning. Oh my God. In yoga, we say Yoga Sutras is swadhyaya. Constantly learning. Especially in the world that we're in right now, you can go to YouTube University, right? Just learn, just grow, be curious. We have to stay curious, because the mind that is in the clinical trials industry is one that is curious because, you know, we're constantly coming up with new molecules and new types of devices and things, and we never really know what's going to happen once it hits the pipeline. I was just sitting and I had one of a client say, hey, we have a new product Tango that's coming in the pipeline and blah, blah, blah. We might need your help and all that stuff. But I think, wow, I can imagine the creativity that has come from the people who were in the lab, the algorithms that they ran in the lab to come up with this new molecule that who knows might completely transform someone's life down the road. 20 years from now, with AI that you guys will find out in the next webinar, we're going to be narrowing the gap between conception of a product and when it's actually launched into the market. That's going to narrow drastically. But I'm just saying we have to constantly learn. We have to embrace new ways of being. We have to release the old ideas that no longer serve us, you guys. I mean, seriously, because the only thing really that stops us from moving forward in life is when we say, I know it all, right? What is that saying that the learned the people who believe that they've all learned, they will be moving to a different planet. And then those who are willing to learn are going to stay on planet Earth and keep evolving, right? So I'm like, if you think you know it all, then you just got to check out, you know, just go, like you can go to Mars or Jupiter. I'm sure there are people there we know who are actually waiting for you. But in my own world, I approach life with the curiosity of a 5-year-old sometimes. We have to do that. You got to look at life like, what new things can I learn today? What exactly is going on in my life that I can see in a new way? Even our lives, like what new ways can I see myself? Because we also can look at ourselves in one way. You know, maybe people have told you that, oh, no, you can be a medical doctor. You can be a pharmacist. You cannot be an artist. Like the Kant, constantly you cannot be, right? You're too weak, you know, you're sick all the time. So sometimes we adopt all of that. And then that's the lens through which we start living our lives. So we constantly have to break out of those boundaries. And the only thing that we're doing really, we are releasing all ideas so that we can move forward. And that's it. How many times have you guys read a book? You read it once and you hear one thing, and then the next time you're like, is this the book that I read? Is this the book that I read? Like, because you've changed, you become a completely different person. So these are some of the principles. Again, this is recorded, some things that have really helped me, and I thought that I should actually share it here. And I want to end here with this. Success. It's not just about reaching the top of the mountain, right? It's about embracing the climb and overcoming every obstacle along the way, right? The journey, you guys, the journey. Yes, we do get to many destinations, but the juice is in the journey. And that's what matters. And this is going to go to you guys. This is part of the art that I create. Everyone is going to get it. And that way you guys can always remind yourselves that, hey, you know what? It's the journey. I mean, he can climb this mountain, but guess what? There are many other mountains that this person is going to climb, and you just keep going, right? You get to the peak and you see another peak. And that is really the point of life. We let go of old perceptions of ourselves. We adopt new ideas. And from those new ideas, we launch into greater depths of who we are. Okay. Now, let me talk a little bit about our programs. If you guys are interested, let me know. We have targeted clinical research coaching programs. It's about clinical trials and success mindset. Really simple. Our goal is to give you the right information that you need to succeed. So the programs are different. It's hands-on. It's based on all my years in the experience and all my peers' years in this industry, right? And it's simple. We have an online piece. We coach you week by week. Every single week we meet, coaching you week by week. We have a group, and so we support you. It's not a program where you come and you take it and then we don't know what you're planning to do with the information. It's a program that takes you from where you are to where you want to be, and then monitors you as you're going along that journey so that you can get to your destination and so much more. So that's it, you guys. This is what we're going to talk about. And now I am excited because I want to dive into the Q&A section. Simple, raise your hand and you will be called. B or Vera B is going to unmute you And then I'm going to answer your question. And no question is off the table. You can ask about, yeah, Ruben is like, I'm ready. Hi, Ruben. B, can you unmute Ruben so that he can speak? Welcome.
Hi. I don't know what time it is. That's it.
Don't worry. You know, I always say greet people by saying good morning. Good. That's how I greet on my global calls. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night. Because I don't know the time zone.
Right, sure. Yeah. Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's probably afternoon over here. So good morning, good evening, good afternoon, good evening. I'm Ruben Chengo from Zambia, and I'm currently doing my final year undergraduate as a medical student. I wanted to find out, how would you advise a student who is in his final year as an undergraduate and there's some level of commitment and passion for clinical research?
You've already taken the first step. So the first thing I would say is that watch the videos that we have, do research online. What aspect of clinical trials are you interested in? First of all, you want to ask yourself that. If in a best case scenario, what would you be doing, Ruben? Would you be in operations? Are you interested in more of the beginning of the drug development cycle, where you're more in the lab running algorithms? Are you more interested in the post lab, like we have preclinical and then post-clinical, right? Are you interested in more of this type of situation where you're actually running clinical trials, right? Versus generating new ideas for molecules that are going to be coming to the market. And if you are, what would you like to do? I know you're new to the industry, but I'm just sparking your subconscious mind. These are things that if I had known, I would have been more, I would say, intentional, even though I've ended up in where I was supposed to end up. But you want to think about that, Ruben. I always say life is about an intention. So watch the videos, read all the emails that we're sending out. And then out of that, you want to start asking yourself, what piece of this am I interested in? Is it a clinical scientist part? Is it more of a project manager? Is it like, what is it? Do I want to be a principal investigator? Do I want to work at the site level? Do I want to work with a sponsor? Do I want to work with a vendor? So you start, those are some of the things that you want to start thinking about, but it starts from your overarching desire. Do you want to be close to the patients, right? Do you want to actually see those patients who are in the trials? That means that you'll be at the site level. Or do you want to be distant from them, but getting the data and being able to work on it, right? And supporting the country. So those are things that you want to really think about. Like, look at the industry from different ways, different angles, and then decide. Yeah. So Ruben, please go ahead. You can unmute yourself, I think, right, B? I think Ruben can unmute you. Okay.
Yes, thank you so much. I've really gotten to really understand now. I think I can pick it up from there. Thank you so much.
Sure. And if you're interested in our coaching programs, let us know, because that's another way too, right? Getting information that's really going to help you and also give you the success mindset that you need while learning hands-on information about clinical trials, operational management, because that's really important. So yeah, what country are you in?
From Zambia.
Oh, Zambia, fantastic.
Yes.
That's good. We get people from everywhere. So who is next? Thank you, Ruben. Great question. It should help a lot of people as well. Who else is next? I see there's some other hands up. B, can you tell me who's, Delphine. Ooh. Okay. B, did you unmute that person? I think Delphine's hand is up. Thank you.
Hi.
Yes, hi there.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Good morning.
Tengu Muna.
Hi, yes. How can I help you?
So first of all, I would like to thank you, thank everybody in the group.
Mm-hmm.
I am from Guinea-Bissau, West Africa.
Of course, yeah.
So I'm
Nice.
really thankful to participate in this nice group. So I'm a medical doctor
Mm-hmm. What's
working
your
in TB.
specialty?
I'm working on TB hospital,
Nice.
reference TB hospital in Guinea-Bissau.
Mm-hmm.
And I really, really like clinical trial.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. In 2012, I have the opportunity to participate in GCP, GCLP in the Gambia and Ghana. That is good clinical practice and good clinical laboratory practice.
Yeah.
And from that moment on, I feel great passion for clinical trial.
Mm-hmm.
And luckily, in 2012, I participated in a study on vaccine prevention of HIV type 2
Nice.
in Guinea-Bissau. That study was conducted for Danish researchers.
Mm-hmm.
And I was co-author of that study. And it was very, very, it
You
was
were
very
PI.
good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was co-author of that study. And also, even in 2017, I participated in a study as a co-author in a study of BCG vaccine in older than 50 years old.
Oh, wow.
But it is not yet published.
Of course. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I participated with some, researcher from Denmark too.
Nice.
So my question is this: I want to start. I feel that I can do something. I can go forward in clinical trial. So
of course you can.
Yeah, as a less experienced guy, I'm a less experienced. So
I wouldn't say so. I wouldn't say so. Let's remove that language. I wouldn't say so. You've already participated.
Thank you. So how can I keep going forward? How to start? Because many people here are not clear about clinical trial. And even our authorities are not, I'm not complaining, but I just want to be realistic. Sometimes they do not support someone with this vision, start a clinical trial project. So it's very complicated. Even among health professionals, many people are not so clear about the advantage of getting involved in clinical trial. So
okay, Delphine, for the purposes of time and other people, I know exactly where you're going. I feel you.
Exactly.
I know where you're going, and let me respond because I know exactly the question. And just for the purposes of time and everyone here, let me explain something to you. You're not in a unique situation. Even in the US, we have to do community education. So it's not so much the country, the region. It's really simple. It's not up to you to convince people. It's up to you to work on yourself, right? And so how do you do that? If in Africa right now, we have many people like you conducting clinical trials, then surely it is possible. That's number one. The second thing is that you need the education. So if you're interested at Achaibo Clinical, what we do is we train you how to set up a site. We train you how to educate the community and people and explain it to them and how to recruit. I mean, basically, from the idea that you currently have to actually implementing it. But it's a matter of, Delphine, this is all I'll say. It's not so much them. Everybody who goes through our coaching programs loves it. And it's because, and even on the WhatsApp, you can tell that we're very focused on vision and intention. I had so many challenges creating this company. I mean, I'm a woman of African descent, right? I mean, just think about all the little nuances of being able to do my own thing and just the challenges and understanding that. And so you already have the education and you already have the training. You've participated in clinical trials. So it's not about the challenges about them. It's about you creating such a massive passion and concept of what you want to do, right? Creating that, like we've done here with Achaibo Clinical, right? On the WhatsApp group, you said over 1,000 people plus all our platform. There's quite a few people. It's because I said I'm going to create a vortex that is going to be so powerful, and that is all about serving others, and that people will have no choice but to join us and to participate. And so that's what we do, Delphine. I train you how to do it, how to set up a site, how to recruit, how to convince the powers that be, because I do it already across not just many countries. We're educating the government, we're educating the local community, local leaders on clinical trials. We create flyers for them, brochures, and we explain it to them. So it's not so much them, Delphine. It's for you to now get this knowledge and then take it and execute it. And I promise you, 5 years from now, 1 year from now, they're going to be like, wow, this is incredible, but it's up to you. So you don't worry about them, because when you, like we say, when you do you, then everybody else will actually come. And I'm really serious about this. This is really about you now saying, how do I want to proceed? And what am I going to do? If trials are really being conducted in other countries, and they are, go to clinicaltrials.gov, you'll see all over Africa, not many, but they are there. If other people have done this, despite the challenges that they face with their own regulatory authorities, the government, the people, the naysayers, right? And they did it, so I can do it too. So what mindset am I now going to adopt? Right? What mindset will Delphine adopt? Not a mindset of it's not possible, a mindset of it is possible, because I have evidence that it's possible for other people. So now, whether it's coming to the Achaibo Clinical programs and doing the success mindset and also getting this knowledge that I need to set up in this country, or whatever I have to do, I am going to do it. The question is not them, it's not the no people. The question is you saying yes to you, yes to your vision. Once you say yes to your vision, then everything will flow from there.
Many thanks, Tengu.
You got it, right? You got it. It's not about them. Forget the people.
About me, it's about me.
It's about you, Delphine. You got to say yes to you. You got to say yes to you. And that is the truth. And I'm speaking from experience. I had to say yes to Tengu because it wasn't happening for me. I got to say yes to me. And then everything, the world now started shaping to reflect itself. And I have to tell you, I've never said this. Before targeting Africa, my staff knows this. I was training investigators here. I had another company. I was so scared to go into Africa and really start this community, because I'm like, it's one thing to be a hero outside of your own people, but your own people, will this work, right? So we're always constantly facing, and it's been the best thing ever. Just the wonderful people like you will not even be on this call, right? So then you have to think now, Delphine, you got to get out of yourself. I just remembered one more thing that changed for me. This is not about you. This is about the patients, the people whose lives will be transformed because Delphine went for his vision. So it's not about you. You're thinking about you when there are patients whose lives will be changed. There are laws that might change in Guinea-Bissau because you decided to do this. There might be other doctors who wanted to do this, but they were scared. But because Delphine went for it and he created a clinical research site, and now we can do this. So remember that. If you're too caught up with you and they're not allowing me, then you're not going to do anything. But if you remember that you're building something, think about the people whose lives will be impacted because of you. Then it's different. Then it doesn't matter what people say because you're thinking about them, those who will come and whose lives will be, you feed from your fountain that you've created, and they're going to feed from it and they're going to give to more people. You see that? That's different. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. I really got it.
You got it. I think you got it. Okay. Thank you, Delphine. Anthony, I see you have a question. B, let's unmute Anthony.
Hello.
Thank you, B. Hello, Anthony. What country are you in?
So I'm from Kenya.
Oh, you are? Okay. Great.
Yeah, and a question not a question rather, but remarks and a question at the end. So my name is Anthony, like I said, from Kenya, and I'm a physician assistant, specialized in medical oncology. And currently involved in several clinical trials in Kenya for breast cancer, esophageal, and sickle cell disease. So I'm currently site-based, working as a study clinician. But I feel in future I would like to switch to sponsors in terms of either a CRA or a monitor. I don't know what your advice would be on that. And the reason for that is that probably for me, I feel like being a study clinician sort of has a dead end to it at some point. And I feel switching to the sponsor side of things, say the monitoring or those things of regulatory would be the best venture for me in terms of a career advancement. What should your advice be?
I would say this. First of all, set your sights a little bit higher than that. I think a CRA role is very good. I was a CRA, but with the experience that you have, I think that there are many other roles that will be needed for you. And there was no explanation as to why, because you're growing, you're evolving, you're a human being. Once you're in a situation where you've maxed out, if you don't move, and it doesn't have to happen in the future is now. The future is not, some far off future. Anthony is going to go and do whatever he has to do. The first thing you got to do is you got to work on your resume. That's the first thing always. Your resume will now have to be a reflection of what is to come, not where you are. That's the first thing. The second thing is that there is a way to network with people. It's not applying for jobs. It's not, that's what we teach in our coaching program. I always go back to it, not because because it's something, the coaching program that we have is actually based on the experiences that I had, right? So I do also offer one-on-one coaching. What that means is that you come on, you say, okay, Tengu, I want to move into a new role. You're a physician assistant in oncology. I mean, I'm sure that there are many other opportunities out there that you can go for, not a CRA, not a monitor. I mean, it's great because a monitor, a CRA is really something that I think, of course, is doable, but based on your experience, and I think after analyzing your resume, I think I can better understand what roles, global roles will be ideal for you. So that's what you got to do in the physical world, right? You do your resume, you can coach with me if you choose to, or at Achaibo Clinical, and then, you're on LinkedIn, you're networking or whatever. But in the internal world, which is where everything starts, you have to be it already. Anthony, that's simple. What that means is that when you now are at doing your work, or your clinician normal duties at the research site, you want to start seeing it from the level of Anthony, he's working for a sponsor globally. How would that Anthony see it? That's where it starts, right? So while you're doing all of this, and that's what works for everybody who coaches with me, and they always have success, is because I help you to now see yourself from the level of the vision of where you're going in clinical research versus what you're actually doing. So for example, something as simple, let's just say you're looking at an adverse event and you're analyzing it, you're making sure that, everybody's on board. How would the Anthony, who now works for a pharmaceutical company, at a global level, how is he going to see that adverse event? He's going to see it as one adverse event from many sites across the globe, and he's going to be looking for trends, and he's going to be looking for a way to analyze it across many countries. So now you're looking at the adverse event as the site that you are on, or whatever has come up, and you're saying, I wonder if other sites have experienced this. I'm serious. You got to make something up in your mind, right? Those are the things that you want to start doing. And you start practicing this. I swear, people might even just contact you and say, hey, we're looking for... It's happened to me, to people I've coached so many times, right? So you got to start looking from there. We do the physical work. We got to make sure that, and the way that I analyze a resume is at another level. And the way that I create a new cover letter, a new version of yourself, a new version of you on LinkedIn. I mean, that's not it. People who coach with me get that, but it's taking you and transforming the Anthony who's in Kenya. What city are you in? Are you in Kisumu? Because I know in Kisumu, they run a lot of trials.
I'm in Eldoret.
Oh, Eldoret. Okay. Not that Anthony. So the Anthony who's there working now on a global trial, seeing the world from the eyes of a global Anthony, not analyzing it at a level of one side, but at a level of different side. So you got to start playing games like that with your mind. And I learned this actually from it was a physician from, I forgot what country he was from. And he taught me that I went to this conference, and when I started dabbling into success mindset, and he's like this big key opinion leader. And I'm like, how did you do this? I said, no, I just started seeing myself like it. I was playing games with my mind. So you got to start playing games with your mind. And like you look at an advertisement and say, oh, wow, maybe 50 other sites have this across other countries, right? You play those games while I'll show you how you network, the people you contact, how you pick the companies that you want to work with, right? Because we're not living in a time when you're going to say, please, for the job, I'll do anything. You are an experienced person in the clinical research industry. You have a lot of experience. So you now targeting the kinds of projects you want to work on and the kinds of companies that you want to work on. And from that vantage point, then now you network, LinkedIn, you have calls with them. This is all part of our training. You speak to people, and then out of that, you will start seeing some trends and patterns, and something will come out of that. But now, so you've got to move from your local store. If you're living wherever you are now, you want to go buy, something, right? If there's only one shop where they sell toothpaste, avocado, all of it. I mean, if you don't go to that store, you are doomed, right? That's the only store you go to. So guess what? Now, people in that town don't have a choice because they only have to go to that shop. But now, guess what? When you step outside of that mentality and say, maybe I should be ordering some stuff online now that this shop is the only shop here, right? Then your whole world opens up. So I always say we never want to be in a position where we're relying so much on what is happening locally. We want to make sure that we expand globally. So there are many roles. And when you expand globally, I'm telling you, Anthony, there are many roles. You have a very high level experience in clinical research. So there are many other roles that you can go into. It's not just a CRA or monitor. There's so many others that I already have in mind at a sponsor company, and they all have different titles. But you got to know what they're about, because what they're looking for is somebody who has a certain way of thinking and who has already been in the industry. On top of that, right? So that's it, Anthony. That's all what I will say to you. You do the movement of the mind, and then we show you both. That's really what the coaching is about, how to move your mind as a clinical researcher to get to the next level, and how to do it in the physical world. And we make sure you're the best of the best. The resume is the top, cover letter top, how you interview, how you speak to people, how you research companies. I mean, you're putting yourself at a level where they're like, wow. I mean, I literally, when I interview candidates, I know who has been doing their research. I know who's been like, yeah. So those are the things. It's just a different world. We got to bring a different mindset to it. Yeah. And again, I always say, if there are many people in your position who've moved from where they are to the global role, then surely Anthony must do it. These people did not come from Mars. They're here on planet Earth, right where you are. Okay. So
Absolutely.
That's my answer. That's my answer.
Thank you so much for your answer. I think I'll be getting in touch offline and join the WhatsApp group as well. See how we can further engage this. Yeah.
Anthony, and not future. Get in touch with me. Let me get you to where you want to go. Life is too short. People are like, Tango, I'm thinking about the coaching program a year from now. I'm like, oh, you assume you're going to be alive a year from now. I'm not wishing you death, but I'm just telling you. You've made the assumption you're going to be fine. You're going to be the same person you are today. You don't even know what's going to happen tomorrow, but you're telling me, I'm going to change my life 1 year from now. Well, maybe you know something I don't know about. Maybe you have access to some information that I don't know about, you guys. Anyway, Anthony, DM me. Let me get you going so you can, move on, and then move on to bigger roles, because there are many people waiting. I cannot do this alone. My hope is that more of us can move up quickly and then now train more and more people in those different roles. We have to do that so we can have a proliferation of clinical research professionals in Africa and beyond. Seriously. Then now we have our own army too, and we can actually command the clinical trials landscape. Very important. Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I'll do that.
Sure. No problem. Okay, Anthony spoke. Makotso. Hi. And then Emmanuel, you're next. Makotso, you're next. What lovely question do you have for me, and how can I help you?
Good morning, good afternoon to everyone.
Good morning.
My name is Makotso. I'm based in South Africa.
Oh, where? Where in South Africa?
In Potchefstroom. It's just about 2 hours from Johannesburg.
Oh, nice. Okay, great.
Yes, so as I indicated in the group that I'm in a preclinical platform where I'm doing toxicity studies in animals. So I have two questions. The first one is that recently we had a client that wanted to do a study with us, but their concern was that we haven't done a submission to SAPRA, which is the equivalent of the FDA in South Africa. How do we get to overcome that hurdle of ultimately getting to be able to submit, because it's based on what the sponsor wants, because we're just only doing the preclinical stuff. And then my second question would be, I want to transition from preclinical into clinical trials. What would be a way for me to transition?
The same thing I just told Anthony. So let me answer the first part of your question. All you do is just find out other clinical trial sites in that area or beyond. You can go to ct.gov, find out the people who are running trials and ask them how they did their submissions. Somebody has done it. I mean, I know how to do it. I've worked on South African studies, but from the sponsor level, we do more country submissions, right? We get permission from the government, let me put it that way, to run a project in that country. And then the CROs that I manage, they do all the local submissions, so find out, first thing, go find out who has done a submission. You can post it in the group. There are many people from South Africa who are in research sites. Post it in the WhatsApp group and ask, hey guys, we need to blah, blah, blah. Somebody's going to respond because they're amazing people in the WhatsApp group. And then go online. And I'm also going to be, let's, you know what we're going to do. Let's find out as well. We can email you that. And then that's the first thing, because that's easy. That part can, it's information, right, Makoto? You can find that. But regarding your transition, now that's different. Same thing I told Anthony. We got to now take, it doesn't matter if you've been working on preclinical, it's all the same industry, really. I mean, who cares what you've been doing? But it's transforming the job description of what you've been doing now to match the clinical setting, right? That's all what it is. And that's what we do. We take you, we transform it, we make sure your resume matches where you're going. It's simple. And then you now have to figure out what roles. I think I explained this, who was from Zambia who asked me, where do you see yourself, Makoto, on this other side where I am on? Well, like, where do you see yourself? Do you want to be, a lab scientist? Do you want to work on molecules, coming to that are still preclinical, but it's on this other side, right? Do you want to actually work once, we're now in the post-clinical setting, getting into more running of actual clinical trials and things like that? Do you want to work in a phase 1? Maybe you want to work more on smaller projects that are phase 1 projects. In terms of the role, what are you looking at? So I think if I look at your resume, I can kind of tell what will be a good fit for you, but it's going to be up to you as well. So it's changing that mindset. And remember, yes, you've been working on the, more the animal studies, but really, you got to just switch. It doesn't matter whether it's, animal studies or whatever. It's the same purpose, right? You're testing something to see the ADME, if it's going to go through a being. Just imagine if that's really it. Is it going to go through this human being? Is it going to work? Efficacy? And is it safe? Is their head going to blow? That's it. Just like the animals that you're working on, there was really I'm not saying that humans and animals are similar. I'm saying the methodology of thinking, right? It's the methodology of thinking. That's really all what it is. So on this other side is the exact same thing, except maybe the data and the parameters might be a little bit different, right? So you want to think about that because you're already there, but you think you're not there. That's the thing. Many times we're already at where we're supposed to be, but we're still thinking that I need more information. I have to go open the big, encyclopedia of what is possible for Makoto, then I'll be, right? We're constantly thinking we're not where we are supposed to be when we are. Where you stand, you have everything that you need to move to the next step of your evolution. So you're already where you are. We just have to switch your resume a little bit. And then, of course, the success mindset training, super important, believing it, seeing yourself in the role. And then now, as you go to work tomorrow, you start already seeing yourself that, oh, wow, what it would be like, working on the other side, right? You start seeing that and you start seeing different variables and things. And so we have 2 kinds of training. For someone like you, I would recommend our signature program because it teaches you how a clinical research site is set up, how monitoring happens, all of it, GCP training. So you get really like because you're not on this other side, though you have the information, you get the full operational view of this other side. You also get the success mindset training. Now, Anthony is different because he's already in the industry. He just needs a little bit of tweaking. On this side, you get that. You also get out to work on, we have resume workshops, all of it, who to contact, how to connect with people. We have marketing and branding. It's all one big program. And that's what we do to get you to the next step. And then you coach with me weekly, every week. It's on Saturday. It's a group coaching. Just like this, I get to answer questions targeted to what you're doing and where you are in terms of where you want to go. So that's it. Makotso, you're already there. You just got to open the door and get in.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Sure. Yeah, and don't let anyone tell you that you have to go get some certification. But you just need targeted training, understanding what happens in the drug development pipeline and how a site is set up, how it is monitored, marketing and branding, right? That's what we do, marketing, branding, and all of that. And then, you're in South Africa, there's a lot of opportunity there. And then you move on to the next stage of your evolution. And from there, you launch to higher heights of success. It's really simple. It's just believing that you're already there. That's all, really. Trust me. I am also there. I also, this is, when I listen to this recording, sometimes I'm like, wow, Tengu, she really knows what she's talking about. And I do, but you know what I mean? It's like, wow, I have to learn from her too, because I do have my own moments when I doubt myself. So, and these are the tools that I implement. So life is not so much that we have fear, we feel vulnerable, we have that, but when you have tools, that's what I've learned. I have a lot of tools and I'm using them to train other people to use the same tools to overcome and move forward in the clinical trials industry. Very important, very important. Okay, Makot, so thank you so much. I know your question has helped a lot of people. I promise you, we typically have to have the same questions. Yeah, so thank you so much. I see, let me go to Emmanuel. Hey, Emmanuel. I think that's the last question. Yeah, that's good. I think Emmanuel, you're next.
No, the next is Anthony.
Oh, Anthony is next. Okay. Oh, another Anthony. Wow. It's the same one. Okay. Hey, Anthony, do you have a second question?
Oh, no. Sorry. It was an
your hand was
raise.
just up. You couldn't just, it just stayed up. All is well. So it's Emmanuel then, because I answered Anthony. Sorry, my nose is just, excuse me.
Hello.
Yes. Hello there, Emmanuel. How are you?
Yeah, I'm fine. What about you?
I am doing, I'm doing good.
Yeah, so I'm Emmanuel from Ghana, and currently I'm in Toronto, Canada. So in Ghana, I used to work in the internal medicine department as a physician, and I was also involved in research and publications in at least 11 papers. And so I actually joined midway. So I wanted to find out whether you people had a program for research.
Yes, we do. You join midway, but you know what's so awesome, Emmanuel? This call is recorded. It's going to be available within 24 to 48 hours, and you're going to be able to listen. And that's the program that I was talking about. So we have a program. What is so fascinating is that I cannot tell you how many physicians that in their countries were practicing, and then they moved out to the States or Canada or some other country, and they cannot practice anymore, and they end up in clinical research because right, you're still using the same knowledge. So yes, we do have a very targeted program, Emmanuel. It is it's our signature program. It used to be many, but it's all one. You're going to learn about setting up a site, because you need that knowledge if you're going to be in the clinical trials industry, what happens at the site, right? And then you also monitoring, marketing, and branding. And then you coach with me every week on Saturday, and we walk you through. And that's what the program is. I mean, it is to get you to where you want to go. You have to define what you want to do, and then you're going to take that knowledge and then you're going to apply it. And then I guide you weekly on where you want to go. Yes.
Okay.
And everything you want to do. So what is your vision, Emmanuel? What do you want to do? What do you want to do? What do you want to do?
I actually want to do both. So practicing, and also I like a lot of research, because even in Ghana, like although I was practicing, I was also doing a lot of research. Like I was a research assistant. I was involved in writing papers and also clinical trials. So I just want to combine them. So I just was, yeah.
Okay, good. So you already have clinical trials experience then?
Like I was more of and for the clinical trials, I was more of a research assistant. So I helped.
Got it.
So I don't know whether you've heard of SIRENE, the Stroke Investigative Research Educational Network.
I should check them out. I haven't heard of them.
Yes, SIRENE. SIREN.
SIREN. Let me make a note of that.
Yeah, so I was involved in it, and in like being a research assistant and getting data and also doing other things for them. So but I was also involved in collaborating with some of my seniors in writing papers and all that. So that's why I was just asking. So I actually like to collaborate and do both.
Academic research type. No, I know. You know that, in clinical trials, we have those PIs who, on a project, there are those who are actually operating. And then there are a lot of the sub-Is who you just comment because they want to write papers about the project. So, which is a good thing. But come join the signature program. And that's going to open you up now to, this is how a site is set up. Oh, wow, this is how we monitor it. And we have a lot of tools. I spent like 5 years or more to create all those programs. So there are tools in there, there are worksheets. But the thing that I love is that you now, at the end, you have the marketing and branding, you do GCP, you do everything that you need. But now, marketing, how do you network with people so you can now get the opportunities? Because I cannot stand all these courses that people just take. I just went and took a course, and now I'm like, you took the course, didn't these people, aren't they going to show you how to get the opportunities for the course? I mean, why would you just take a course and they leave you halfway and give you a certificate? That's nothing. They're going to show you how do you now implement what you've learned? How are you talking to companies? How are you getting the next opportunity? Who are the people you're supposed to talk to so that you can move to the next stage? It's not just gone are the days that I'm just going to get this certificate. Oh, it looks nice. But at some point, you need something that's actually going to take you to the next step. It can't just be that, you know what I mean? So Emmanuel, join us.
Yeah, okay. So when you finish this, and are going to send us an email with the recording, and would you send a link to how we can join your course?
Sure. So let me explain it. It's simple. Can post the link on here as well. Somebody wanted the course. Thank you. I'll get into that. So it's a lifetime program. The total cost is $2,499, but you have a payment plan. So you can pay once, or you can pay twice, or you can pay 3 times, or you can pay 4 times. That's really it. Everybody who joins picks whatever. And then we also have so once you click on it, you pay, the clock starts ticking, you're going to get all the information, what you're supposed to do. You're going to join the WhatsApp group. You're going to get the link to our very organized, as you guys see across our platform, because I don't like to waste people's time. So you get all of that, Anthony, all the information that you need, the times. Then you can ask Achaibo Clinical is our WhatsApp group. You can ask questions anytime. If you are like, I've clicked on this, I'm not sure, you can email us, cs@Achaibo Clinical. So you get all that information. Once the payment goes through, you get everything, and then B always follows up with you. And then Vera is also part of, will help you, and I'm there as well. So it's really a team effort to make sure that you're not confused. And any questions you have, you can ask questions anytime in the Ask Achaibo group. In between, because we meet every Saturday, and you can choose to come. You can say, hey, I can't make it. Tengu, please, here's a question I have for you. Let me know. So yeah, that's really what it is about. And the link is, I think they've placed the link already for you. It's Achaibo.
Okay, thank you very much.
Sure. Yeah, just click on it. You'll see all the information. And then you see we have testimonials on the website as well. In case you click, you're like, has anybody done this course? And we have more coming. So just scroll down, you read all the testimonials as well. Thank you, Vera. Vera has posted the link. So let me see who else has a question. Oh, you guys had questions in the chat I didn't see. Yes, Ikra, how to increase patient recruitment in clinical trials. I have an email that series that we just did, right, B? Isn't that the current email series? It tells people how to increase recruitment in clinical trials, right, B? Sometimes I'm like, I forget which one we're on. But yes, we do have an email series going on now. It's really simple. Ikra, what's your email address? We're going to forward it to you because that's our current series. Exactly what your answer is. How to increase. Oh, yes, B, thank you. Yes, B, can you get, B will know your email. B's going to forward you. Guys, read our emails. We work so hard, the team and I, to give you information that is, those email marketing that you get and they're like some weird story. These are educational emails. So just by reading between the Facebook group, all the articles we're posting and the emails, it's educational. So yes. So she'll send it to you. Why not? So Ikra, you said why we are a contract. Okay. Absolutely. Send me an email, Ikra. I think that we should work together because I have a feeling that as a CRO, I'm not sure where you're based, but there is a lot that you can do. I actually have a series that's upcoming that's only targeted for CROs. How you can market. When it comes to marketing and branding in clinical trials, that's me because I've managed CROs for a very long time. I've helped them to write their RFPs. I've revised their plans. I mean, I've done, in fact, some of the CROs that we take on, sometimes I'm like, why did we even bring in this CRO if we're doing all the work for them? Recently, I just took a whole recruitment plan and changed it. It took me about a month to just change it out and make it. So yeah, if you're a CRO and you want to work with me, yes, let's talk. Send an email to tengu@achaiboclinical.com. B, can you put it on there for Ikra? Send it to tengu@achaiboclinical.com. B can set up a meeting based. Just tell us your availability. B is going to set up a meeting. We're going to meet and let me see what your needs are and how I can best help you and understand the vision for your CRO and what you want to do. You're based in Pakistan. That's fantastic. And let's see what your vision is, what your niche market is, and what and what you really want to do. Because many CROs just want to go for everything. I'm like, no, you got to be very targeted, very intentional. Who are the companies you want to deal with? What type of projects do you want to work on? What type of services do you want to provide? How do you want to appear? How do you want to market yourself? Very important. Very important. Ikra, thank you. That was helpful. Oh, Simon, yes, the cost to participate, we just mentioned it, $2,599 or I think it's guys, just go look at the payment plan because I think it's $2,400. If you pay in full, it's $2,599. But if you do the payment plan, it comes up to, if you do 4 months, there's 2 months, 3 months, 4 months. Yeah. Okay. I speak a lot with my fingers, as you guys see. Hey, Tinbert, I see that you're a general practitioner. You're a recent graduate. You've been working on my research and on my way to a publication with other colleagues in the US. I want to get involved, blah, blah, blah. Oh no, researchers are not common. So it's not so much you rock stars on this call that researchers are not common, because there are people on here who I know in research. It's the execution piece, right? Many people confuse this type of research with academic research. There's a lot of myths around it. But what I teach is you have to understand what a clinical research site is, how it is set up. Very important, because the people who are really good, once you get that, because every other thing in this industry comes from what happens at a research site. I was even training someone who just joined this global company I'm with, and I had to just do an ad hoc training with him because I'm like, we got to talk, because he was, and I'm like, no, that's not at the site, because they were working in a hospital. And I said, no, you need, so everybody to me, if I had my way, would get the basic, and we always laugh in operations because many of us in operations started at the clinical research side and worked our way up. Very important, team bed. What happens at the site? Then I also teach you, they also learn monitoring. How are studies being monitored, right? A clinical research monitor, that role I have it in there as well, because that's the second thing that, so you want to understand what happens at the site. You want to understand how data is monitored. And then we mirror it when we have GCP training in it. And we also have marketing and branding. What are you going to do now, great soul, with this knowledge that you have? Are you just going to sit on it and just chill? Or are you going to take this knowledge now and let us show you how you can move forward? Do you want to have a research site? Do you want to work with a sponsor company? You know, do you want to create your CRO? What are you going to do with this knowledge, right? So that's what we do. So that is what I highly recommend that you join us. And you can join at any time. You know, we meet every week. You have a lot of support. I mean, really, a lot of support from us because, you know, you guys need to be successful. Okay, last person is Lydia. Hey, Lydia. Thank you for joining. I see you have a question. I feel like my nose is just, I'm telling you, allergy season here in the Midwest, man. Okay, Lydia, hi. How can I help you? Yeah, I think we're running close. So Lydia, I think you're still on mute.
Can you hear me?
Yes, there you are. Nice picture, by the way, rocking it.
Thank you very much, ma'am.
You're welcome. So how can I help you?
Okay, so I've been listening to your program, mostly the webinars, and at some point I got confused. Yes, I want to know more about research, clinical research, being that I'm a nurse, but I'm trying to understand how this works for nurses, because majority of the people that I've seen in this program, even in the WhatsApp group, they are more of physicians, doctors, and people that work in the clinical sector where they carry out research. Because of that,
you
I
probably
even
have missed it.
Okay.
We have a lot of nurses. We have a lot. Just ask on there who's a nurse. We have a lot of nurses, Lydia, a lot. But I'll explain it to you. Please go ahead.
Okay, so because of this concern, I started sourcing for jobs that have to do with research for nurses. And so far, so good. I'm sorry, I'm not yet there. Like, I've not gotten one that really needs a nurse for research. And what they are always concerned about is, do I have experience in research? Which, apart from what I did in school during my project defense and the rest, I do not have any clinical research experience. So now I'm wondering, how do I become relevant in this field? Absolutely. I really want to know more about it so that I can get myself better equipped and also further in that aspect.
Absolutely. I know many people are confused because people don't know, you don't know what you don't know, right? In fact, this industry started, it's an industry that I remember when I started 20 years ago, majority of my colleagues were white nurses. It's nurses. So it's the one industry that has a lot of women as well. My team, really, the team that I'm consulting on, it's amazing. We recently just became 6 women from different countries and things. And most of them, a lot of them, I think half have a nursing background and half of us do not. But here's the thing. You want to change you want to change the way that you're thinking. You're thinking that in clinical research, you're going to now use the nursing physical movement of going and, and dealing with patients, right? And then you're going to be speaking to these patients. You're going to check what's going on with them. It's a little bit different than that. There are 2 aspects that you want to take a look at. The 2 ways you can go work at a clinical research site as a clinical research nurse, right? What that means is that you read the clinical trial protocol and you implement what exactly is going on with the clinical trial protocol. And that entails training. You have to understand clinical trials. It's a whole industry, Lydia, and there's training that is involved in terms of understanding what is a clinical research site, what is a clinical trial protocol. I mean, what is it, right? As a nurse, if I'm working at a clinical research site, it's because you're working in a controlled setting, right? You are taking the parameters of a protocol and you're implementing it. That's the first way of thinking, number one. The second way now, like you move to the global level, what that means is that You're not doing nursing duties. You're using your expertise as a nurse to now manage clinical trials and work in the operational space. So if you're working, say, let's say a dermatology study, I'm just giving an example here. It doesn't really matter. It could be anything. It could be an ulcerative colitis study. It doesn't really matter. And you are now, looking at the protocol and you realize that, oh my goodness, there's some issues going on with these patients. It's going to be easier for you because you're already in a clinical setting. I had to learn that because you're in a clinical setting, you understand, what happens biologically with the patient, right? And how certain drugs will react in a certain way. So that's point number 2. So you're looking at that. But then there was also that other level, which also includes maybe monitoring of a clinical trial, right? A lot of nurses are CRAs. It's really simple. They are a little bit closer to the patient. No, you're not with the patient, but you're monitoring the clinical research side that is dealing with the patient, right? So now when you're looking at a patient's chart, I used to go to the medical dictionary and Google because, right, I didn't have a clinical background. You now go, oh, I know exactly what's going on here. They have this condition, right? It's a lot easier. So a lot of nurses tend to be CRAs. They tend to be study coordinators. So it's not so much that you're going to apply for opportunities when you don't have the experience. You don't know the industry language. You don't know any of it. You don't even know how to market yourself. You don't know how to take your current experience and merge it with whatever it is that you're learning. So what we do is we provide hands-on training. It's simple. You got to come in. You got to understand what GCPs are. You got to understand what a clinical research site is. How is it set up? I think the CRA role would be good for you. The whole monitoring piece is what a CRA does, or a clinical research associate or monitor. So that's something that you would do. Learn all of that. Then now you can turn around and we show you how to actually change your resume out and all of that stuff and network or apply for jobs, whatever you want to do. So when you're having those conversations, now you're not having it from the point of a nurse. You're having it from the point of a nurse who understands how the clinical trials industry works and what the needs are. And so when you're now speaking to people and they say you don't have research experience, you say, no, I just completed this program. It was very hands-on. I understand how the clinical research side wants. My next move is I want to take the clinical knowledge that I have as a nurse and use it with all these things that I've learned and get an opportunity. That's what you should be thinking about. But if you're just applying for jobs, I also hire people like for companies. And if I just saw your resume, nursing, I'll be like, why is this resume here? Like, really, to be honest with you, because there's nothing which shows that, you understand the industry that you're getting into. It's really simple. Does that answer your question?
Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. So I guess the next thing for me is to get involved in the training, yeah?
Absolutely. And, and also the training, but it will really just get ready because I think you really enjoy it because the success mindset piece of it, you're really going to enjoy it because it's going to just cause you to just see yourself like the person that you're actually meant to be. It's going to cause you to define your vision, where you want to go. And then also to think big, like super big. All these people here that you're talking to, those recruiters, you got to think like you have to go for a global sponsor role. That's really what you really want, to go for a global sponsor role. And it will just require you nailing this down. And the way the training is set up, there's so many modules. You're going to be meeting with me, asking questions. I literally handhold you. And then you one fine day, you'll be in this clinical research role, and you're going to love it because you don't have to have the physical thing of seeing patients. Now you're using that wonderful knowledge that you have, Lydia, and you're transforming people's lives, but you don't have to do all that hard manual labor, right? Which can be, because I know a lot of nurses, it's not easy, that you're going to be doing.
Yeah.
You got it?
Okay.
Yes. Thank you for asking. I really appreciate it. And yeah, let us know. Email me, DM me anytime. I'll be here.
Thank you so much.
No problem, Lydia. Okay, I think that's it, you guys. Ooh, we covered everybody. I love it when I get to answer everybody's question. Let me see if there are more things. Okay, no more questions. So you guys, for those of you who are left, your work is majority of your life, right? I mean, really. And I think it's really a blessing. You know, I always tell people happy Monday. They go, Tengo, are you saying happy Monday? I'm like, this I actually heard from, what's his name? E.T. the hip hop preacher. He's like, there was no Monday without Friday, right? So we got to give thanks for Mondays too. Yeah, we got to give thanks for every day. But remember that you as a human being on this planet, you're here to unleash those talents. Now, yes, you come take the training programs. You're going to be on this platform. You're going to learn. But let's switch. Let's focus more on what we want to give versus what we want to take. Once you focus more on what you want to give versus what you want to take, then everything completely changes, right? Then that journey of success is more robust, because at the end of the day, I mean, if you only me, I mean, it gets boring. I've done it. You know, I had my company, I'm going to make all this money, I'm going to consult. Then I started seeing that my own people like me, needed opportunities to come into the industry. So Tengwa, you're just going to keep living your latatidada life and having a blast, instead of being vulnerable and creating something, creating programs, creating a platform that's going to bring people together, and they're going to learn, and they're going to take that water and water more gardens and more gardens, right? So it's really important. So my takeaway today, in addition to this beautiful quote that we had, which is that success is not just about reaching the top of the mountain. It's about the climb, the journey, you guys. I really mean it. And overcoming every obstacle along the way. And you know what the real obstacle is what you believe in here. That's the obstacle, because that's really what it is, right? That obstacle, honestly, is in here. So let's go out. If you choose to join us, I'm excited that you're going to join us. If you're already joining us, but if you want to take the coaching program, I'm excited. But even if you don't, stay on the platform, feel the energy. And when you're already, join the coaching programs. But we give a lot of quality stuff. Read the emails, learn from them, watch the videos, read the articles, and you will keep learning and growing. And then when you're ready, I'm going to dive, come dive with us, right? Come dive deep. Now in the surface, paddling and getting, the information. When you're ready, come, let's do the deep dive together and make a difference in the lives of patients, and, and increase diversity. So I'm glad that you guys joined, and thank you to all of you who stayed on to the end. My goodness, Anthony, Elizabeth is here. Elizabeth coaches with us. Emmanuel, Handsome, Hannah, Imaobong, oh my God, another person who coaches with us. Imaobong, I'm so happy you're here. Innocent, Joan, Joshua, Kofi, Lydia, Millicent, Nicolaus, Robert, Simon, Sindiswe, Yasin. Thank you for staying on to the end. DM me if you have questions, email us. And of course, the Achaibo Ninjas. Guys, this company only exists because they're all here. The Ninjas, B, Vera, Julia, and Julian. They're here to support you. So we're very delighted that you joined. Thank you. I know it's late for some of you. I appreciate you. Join the WhatsApp group if you have not joined the WhatsApp group, And so I wish you guys a fantastic Sunday. And Ninjas, hearts. Thank you, you guys. Bye. Happy Sunday and happy Monday to come.